Thank you for tuning in, Voice of Reason Boston on WEZE 590 AM. And we would like to say thank you to the Mass Bar Foundation for granting Phoenix House Domestic Violence Shelter to support this broadcast that you can hear every Saturday. And we want to thank them, and we also want to thank Phoenix House for sponsoring this show and believing in this broadcast to provide information to people who are underserved in our communities so that we can continue to spread the message with love. And this morning, we have the one and only Precious Pearls of Psi Iota Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Ski-wee! Ski-wee! And this morning we have our president of the chapter. Her name is Kimberly Zouzoua, and we also have our sister, Nancy Rousseau. How are you guys this morning?
We are doing extremely well, and I'd like to thank you for having us on the show this morning.
You guys are family. You guys are always, well, you ladies, I'm saying guys, you ladies are always welcome to join in this broadcast to share the wonderful works that you are doing in the Southeastern Mass community. And people deserve to know who you are. People deserve to know what you are doing so that your work that you're doing, you can get support to continue to do that.
Yes.
And for those who are tuning in and watching it on Facebook Live, can you please educate those who have not heard from this organization before about who is Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated?
Great. Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated is the first African American sorority founded over 110 years ago at Howard University in 1908 by 16 first-generation college African American women. What's interesting to note, which a lot of people do not realize and understand, that the founding of our organization came from a social conscious and Christian perspective, because what was happening at the time, there was so much turmoil within the African American, not within the African community, American community, but because of racism and because of the search for African Americans to get an education, there was a need to help those coming from the South, from those that had come from the North, to help them kind of really matriculate and know the best practices of how to succeed on the college campus as well as in Washington, D.C. So these women came together and basically said, we are needing to do something. And they came together amongst themselves to start this organization. So just to let me state that from 16 women over 110 years ago, now there's over 290,000 women internationally. So not only are we here in North America, but we are in Canada, we're in South Africa, we are in Dubai, we are in Korea, we're in Germany, we're all over. So wherever you go, you will find a woman of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. And so just to let you know some of the famous names that comes through our organization, our present Senator Kamala Harris is a woman of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. Maya Angelou was a woman of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. And a lot of people do not realize, but First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt was a woman of Alpha Kappa Alpha. Jada Pinkett Smith. So Yolanda Adams. So we run the gamut from being lawyers, being doctors, to being educators, politicians, artists. We can't forget our member Wanda Sykes. So we range because we're all about perfection. We're all about service to our community. And that's what it's about, service to all mankind.
Yes.
That's who we are. And Psi Iota Omega celebrates its 10 years of existence, serving all mankind in southeastern Massachusetts, which incorporates the Cape and the islands.
And can you tell us how Psi Iota Omega chapter was chartered?
Sure. There were a number of members that lived in the southeastern area that would leave their communities going into another community to serve. And so there were 20 women who felt as though, why are we leaving our communities to come and to go to other places to serve when there's a need here? So in Brockton, Massachusetts is where we are housed. 20 of, we call them our pearls of distinction, sorors, were the ones who's chartered the chapter. So we started out with 20, and now we have close to 50 members who are doing phenomenal things. I must say that we are award-winning chapter over 6 times over, right,
That's
Nancy?
correct, yes.
Where the work that we have done within the community has been recognized regionally and nationally. But also to note that we do not do things to receive awards, but we want to make sure that the quality of our programming is impactful enough to be award-winning, because there's lives that we're serving on a day-to-day basis.
And also, I know you serve the communities of Southeastern Mass.
Yes.
Brockton being one. What
Yes.
are the other ones that you serve?
Oh, we have done work in Taunton, Raynham, Fall River, New Bedford. So we have demonstrated programming in those areas as well.
And for those who are listening and tuning in, what kind of programs do you focus on?
Sure. Well, right now we are going into a new international administration where our focus area still continues to be on education. I'll move this up a little bit. On education, where we have a focus right now on HBCUs, which are known as the historically black colleges and universities. And we also have a focus on working with our junior and seniors in high school, helping them to get ready for college, so going through that whole college process. Also, we have a focus that I mentioned earlier on health. We have a focus on women's health care and wellness, mainly when it comes to breast cancer, heart health as well. In addition to, we have a new focus now on arts. Right. So we'll be working with our young kids in the community, getting them more involved in the arts. And we have a global impact program where we've developed and made little pillowcase dresses that we've sent over to West Coast of Africa. We're doing this initiative now where we're trying to get shoes, lightly worn shoes that we're able to send over because there's a huge need there. And a real focus we have right now is also on economics, where we're working with families to help build up their economic success. So just to give you a sense of what we've done in the past 4 years, Psi Iota Omega chapter was instrumental in distributing over 2,500 backpacks to the southeastern Massachusetts community, to our communities where kids and families didn't have the means really to prepare. And so we've become such a staple now in the community that at a certain time, at a certain event that we collaborate with another organization, they look forward. They're basically, okay, y'all, your kids, you're going to get your stuff here at this event. So they look for us there.
That's wonderful for people to know that this is what you're doing.
Yes.
And towards the end of the program, we'll have you provide your website and information where people who are interested in your organization can go ahead and forward or even donate around. I know Thanksgiving is coming.
Yes.
We usually do something for families and homelessness where people need food for Thanksgiving. So I know you guys you ladies, are ready to, you're thinking about setting up a plan as far as how to get donations for that as well.
Yes, as a matter of fact, in October, it's a Child Hunger Awareness Month. Okay. So if there are folk within the southeastern community, in the Brockton area, and you want to figure out how you can donate food, non-perishables, of course, please do so. We do a lot around focusing, again, on kids. So we've done a lot of work with Blessings in a Backpack because there are kids that go to school where the only meals that they get is at school. So on the weekends, they're kind of foraging to find out where they're going to get food. So this organization, and with our partnership with them, puts little food, not little, but some substantial food in their backpacks on the weekend so they can have something to eat.
And speaking of the youth, and we're focusing on the youth, and Nancy, I know that you've been very active as far as getting people to vote. You ladies had an event a couple of days ago where you were attending Brockton High School to let them know how important their vote is and how important it is for them to get involved, to know who the candidates that are running and how it impacts their lives, because if you don't vote, then you're the problem.
That's right.
It's I think it's a wonderful thing how it should continue to be a tradition where during time to vote that people go out to high schools and speak to young people and let them know they have a right to vote.
Right.
and their vote matters.
Right. So I'm going to turn the mic over to Nancy because Nancy is our, what we call our connections chair.
Yes.
And I have to say that committee on Tuesday, I just have to say they blew it up. They blew it up. Here you go, Nancy.
Thank you. So in honor of National Voter Registration Day this past Tuesday, September 25th, the Pearls of Distinction belonging to the Psi Iota Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated partnered with the other sororities on the South Shore. So that would be Delta Sigma Theta, Zeta Phi Beta, as well as Sigma Gamma Rho. Yeah. And in that partnership, we came together to truly plan a project that would impact the entire southeastern Massachusetts area. So we worked on partnering with a number of different schools and colleges, and we were able to significantly make an impact in registering 475 teenagers to vote on Tuesday.
That's wonderful.
It's the most amazing thing. We also registered a few college students, and our numbers actually still have yet to be updated because we did a project on Thursday at BSU. Today we're finishing our project by registering students at the HBCU fair at Bristol Community College. So we wanted this to be an opportunity where we could truly reach out to teenagers, let them understand, help them understand why it's so important to register to vote. We did this in a couple of different ways. We not only went out to Brockton High, Milton High, Stoughton High, Randolph High, Quincy College, both in Plymouth and Quincy, as well as Eastern Nazarene College, and I feel like I'm forgetting one.
Bristol,
Bridgewater State University. We also held an assembly at Randolph High School.
Wow.
So what was significant about that is we partnered with Mass Vote, we partnered with Jammin' 94.5, and we made it a big party.
Made it happen.
We made it a party. 103 students registered that day over there. It was just the most amazing event that we've had, where we've collaborated with all of the sororities. It's our inaugural opportunity. We're planning to do this again next year, and other related events. So that was the big civic engagement event that we held this past week and continuing on until today.
From your personal perspective, throughout your whole experience in this voting process, what have you seen that was done this year that you have not seen past other years?
Well, for one, when planning this project, I did my research.
Right.
I researched nationally to see what sort of engagement opportunities are being held. I mean, obviously, National Voter Registration Day engages organizations throughout the country, everywhere. So that wasn't a thing. But what was a thing was that I could not find anything where all of the four sororities got together to do this work. I could not find any significant project that had taken place in southeastern Massachusetts. And so those two things, those two factors were a first. Okay. And then the other thing I would say is just as an outcome, we realize how much young people are paying attention to the news. Young people are starting to understand, especially at the age of 16. Right. So for Massachusetts to allow 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds to pre-register in time for voting, basically in 2020, we're realizing that young people are recognizing why it's important for them to be involved. Yes. We did not work that hard to get young people to register to vote at these various locations. At Brockton High, we had 143 children register. And so it's very significant when you look at those numbers and you look at the areas that we focused on. So we were spread out. We went as far as Westwood. So Xaverian Brothers High School was one of the schools that I forgot to mention. So I'm feeling good about where these young people are starting to shift their focus. And I think that this is definitely an event that can be modeled throughout the country.
And one thing that comes into my mind is sometimes we wonder, how did we get the president that we got now? But sometimes it's necessary to get people like that to wake us up.
Wake folk up.
Had we gotten a president that was, kumbaya, treating everybody fairly, saying things that all people would like, we wouldn't have put much work in what we're doing now. We probably wouldn't have been voting. We probably wouldn't have been doing as much work as we are doing now. And I think it's very important. God gives us things that we need.
That's right. That's right.
And
to spark us, to get
to
us moving.
spark us, to get us moving. If we did not get a president like President Trump, we would not have been doing all this work. And I think our time is now, especially for women. You know, all the things that we go through, but we are still standing up and firm to do the work that we need and to spread the message, the Me Too movement.
Yes.
It's not okay to be sexually abused. It's not okay to be abused, period.
Correct.
And it is important for women like you all and myself to stand up and speak.
Absolutely.
And,
That's
and
right.
so people all over the country can hear, to know that we are here and we're not playing, we're here to do the work.
And we cannot be discouraged.
No.
So if things in our society are happening and we feel as though that we're not being heard, we have to keep pushing.
Exactly.
And as I speak and I talk to young people, I said, understand that your vote is your voice.
Exactly.
But when it is a collective voice, you're making strong statements where people actually hear. I just wanted to piggyback a little bit on something that Nancy was speaking about when she mentioned the 4 sororities. We all know that there's more than 4 that's out there, but want to speak to what is called the Divine 9 sororities. The Divine 9 sororities comprise of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, Delta Sigma Theta, Zeta Phi Beta, Sigma Gamma Rho sororities incorporated, and they're all 4 African American organizations. And these Divine 9 female organizations are not just collegiate. And so I want to kind of educate the public a little bit.
Okay.
Because a number of times when people hear sorority, they're quickly to go, so what college you go to? But with our organization, once you are initiated in and become a member, it is a lifetime commitment till the day you die, because it's about the service. We pretty much do the same things, but it's how we do it, and could be different type of focus areas, but it's all about that unity and serving the community. So when you heard her say the 4 sororities, it was precedented in our voter registration that all 4 of these organizations that are situated in the southeastern Massachusetts came together as a collective to move this initiative forward.
And it's important to also let people know that community service, it's in our blood.
Yes, it is.
You know, our jobs that we do, we meet up every month to talk about things that we're doing despite our own personal family responsibilities. The membership consists of people who are doctors, lawyers, community activists, or
politicians,
politicians,
social workers. Yes.
And we still have the need on our own personal time to continue that work.
Oh, yes. And I mean, it's from the basis of what's been said in Luke, where to whom much is given, much is required. So if we have been blessed with particular talents, treasures, time, resources, it's not for us to hold to ourselves, but we have to be the seeds within the community.
Exactly.
And also what's in need is when you branch out more into southeastern Massachusetts, very seldom do our young people get to see professional African American women.
That's true.
And so we have to be the examples to those young women. And I'm not, cutting my young men to the side, but there's so much in society right now that is kind of deviating our young women to the left, like not really helping them know who they are as beautiful women, as smart women, and that the image of beauty is not that Eurocentric persuasion that you see on TV, but it's understanding who you are and having confidence in yourself and being confident and have the self-esteem to speak your truth, and knowing that no matter where you come from, where is your foresight as to where you want to go. And I think it's really important that these young women can see women who look like them, who in some places have had the same economic, possibly misfortune as them, overcome those barriers and those challenges to move forward.
And prime example would be Ayanna Pressley, our
Yes,
Congresswoman.
that's right.
How there's a song from, I forgot his first name, but Dion Kippen. He said, I don't look like what I went through.
That's right.
You know what I mean? If anyone has the opportunity to hear her story
Yes.
and see where she started and where she is now, then anyone can.
That's right. I had the opportunity to work personally with her on some community efforts back in 2010, 2011, and actually had an opportunity to meet her for the first time in 2008. She is genuine.
Yes, she is.
She is who she says, what you see. So from behind the camera, what you see in front of the camera, she's the same person behind the camera, 24/7, 365.
And she's very relaxed.
All the time, yes.
The first time I met her was at a MOVA training, Massachusetts Organization of Violence, MOVA. And I don't have all the names correctly, but we were just talking. And I felt like she was my homegirl.
Yeah.
And her story actually made me cry. And I'm like, wow, this woman is up here telling us her story. And she doesn't look like what she went through.
That's right.
And I think it's important for all women to know that no matter what you go through, no matter how it's been, you got to keep fighting.
You have to. You have to. And we have to, a point has to come where when there are African American women in a room, that we have to start seeing each other as comrades.
Yes.
And not enemies. It has to stop,
true.
because
It's sad.
It's sad because
but
if we
it's true.
are to succeed as a people or a group, we have to come together.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's kind of disheartening when you're in an environment and it could be, you two are the only ones, but you can't even get along. So we have to really start to think about, how we work that through.
It's funny that you said that because I had this young lady that I was working with, and then I saw one of her Facebook posts, and she said, no insult to injury, but all her managers she preferred to work with white managers, which is her bosses, than African American women. She said, no insult to injury, but I read that a couple of times and I understood exactly what she meant, but I didn't have enough guts to respond to
Right.
her. And I was like, you know what, she is right. How many times have you gone to a job or wherever you may go and you see another sister like you and they either look at you, stare at you, walk away,
Or look you from toe to head, right?
and we have to do better.
Yes, we do.
We are not where we used to be. We're getting there.
Right.
But
there's still work to do.
But there's still work to do. And it's also important, even though we are historically African American sorority, we service all mankind.
Correct.
We don't look at color. We don't look at gender. We don't look at your religious background. We look to service all mankind.
Correct.
If you have an issue, you have a problem, we're going to get up and help you so that it can be resolved. So it's very important to let
Yes.
people know that we service all mankind. We don't discriminate.
And that is true. And that's what I also want to say. Even though the foundation of our organization is African American, I would be remiss not to say that we do have Caucasian, Latina, Asian, and Indian members in our organization. So just understanding the premise as to how we were started and who we are. But for those who understand the mission of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, understand the importance of sisterhood and connectivity, you meet particular membership requirements. I got to keep that real. You are welcome to be a part of our organization.
Yep, and it's good to focus on the sisterhood piece, because the more we focus on sisterhood, the more we push one another to keep the work done. If we weren't promoting sisterhood, our chapter would not be able to continue where it's at now.
Amen, amen, amen.
And
I just have to say that. Yes, go ahead.
And our motto is help me out.
Over self.
Right.
Sisterhood over
self.
self. That means leave yourself behind and promote the sisterhood so that we can work together. If we have a problem together, we're going to resolve that later, but let's focus on the work that we're doing.
Correct.
If I haven't heard you for a while, I'm going to call you to see what's going on so that we can push the sisterhood forward.
And it's so, I mean, what you just said to me is just so true. That is our motto. But when you get to a point where you're not feeling secure in that motto, your organization breaks.
Exactly.
And
That's
so
true.
it takes that time where you got to come back and refocus. And, you know, and when you refocus and become restructured and foundative, then you're able to move on. And that's what's important. And that's how we are as a chapter, that we will come together, we talk about issues, get things done, work together. And it's about that sisterhood over self.
And another important piece to that is that we were one of the smallest chapters
Correct.
that started.
Correct.
And now we're not small anymore.
Well, you know, we're still considered small because we're 50. You know, what'll happen if
But
once
50, but how much did we start with?
we started with 20? That's right. We grow.
Quite a bit.
And there's a song that says, "May the work that I've done speak for me." And I will say that we do not go on and say, "Hey, you should become a part of
No.
PIO." It's the work that we do in the community that has uplifted us and have excited other interests and transfers from other chapters to come through and to want to be a part of us. And I will say, you know, we are busy, and then we've started to get some feedback about, you know, people are tired, but, you know, there's still work to do. So we want to try to manage that. Okay,
We're
PIO,
working.
talking to y'all now. But we still have work to do.
And it's important to know that we as a sisterhood, we are working. We're not sitting home, we are working. Even if you haven't heard someone for a while, the work that we get from the chapter, that it's still embodied in us.
Oh, yes. Let me just tell you, you know, we sometimes have different regional conferences where we have to prepare for. It's nothing to go into a room and people have their kids and they probably have little pallets on the floor because the baby's got to go to sleep and sleep over there. They bring the food, okay, they're good, and we're working on particular projects because it becomes a part of your life. My sons, I have 2 boys now that are in college, and they know about, you know, Alpha Kappa Alpha, and they know about the other organizations as well. And so Alpha Kappa is a part of their life.
Right.
As
And
well.
also, I'm sorry, Soreness, were you going to say something?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say that when a woman of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority incorporated enters a room, you can tell. They don't need to wear anything. They don't need to wear their paraphernalia. They don't need to wear anything that says, just by their presence, by the way they speak, by the way they walk into the room, you have to automatically see the AKA in them.
Yes.
Because one day I was watching Kamala Harris, the attorney right now, the state Senate. Just the way she was talking moved me. And I said, let me just Google her and see if she's a Alpha Kappa Alpha woman. Lo and behold, she was.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? When a woman walks in, her presence speaks for herself.
Yeah.
And that's what I just wanted to say. But
Okay.
go ahead.
Yeah.
So, how many years have you ladies been providing service in Southeastern Mass?
In Southeastern Massachusetts, it's been 10 years for Psi Iota Omega. For me, personally, as being a member of the organization, 29 years.
Wow. That's a long time. That is a long time.
long time. Yes, 29 years.
29 years.
But then we have members that are 50 years, 75 years.
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. We have Aniel sitting over here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 7 years. 'Cause
Yes,
I've
right.
been here 7 years. And my presence, even though my presence is not there when it needs to be, but I can always say that the work that I do, the service that I provide to my community, even this broadcast, because
Yes.
I never knew I was into broadcast. Something just, it's like God spoke to me and
Right.
told me I need to do it. But I still feel that it's the work that I've learned from my chapter.
Oh, great.
And you know, every day for me is community service, whether I know it or not.
Right.
Working with people at work.
That is so
And then
true.
on my days off, I'm here on the radio trying to spread out awareness to underserved people, because
Yes.
we have a lot of people who does not have the resources or the privileges that we have.
That's right. That's right. And that's one of the reasons why we're hosting our HBCU
Okay.
fair today at Bristol Community College, which is from 11
To 3 o'clock.
It's 11 to 3. So as soon as we're done with you, Tamisha, we're in the car heading down to Bristol. Last year we had over 350 kids come
Wow.
out, and it was the first time that they've had any type of introduction or knowledge of historically black colleges and universities. And just to tell people a little bit about HBCUs, the question has come up often, are they still significant? Yes, even more today. With so many things that's going on PWI campuses, and if people do not know what PWI stands for, it's the what is
Predominantly
it? White
white
institutions.
institutions.
The education is equal to PWI institutions, but one of the things that you get at a historically black college and university is a sense of unity. And people are coming from their different points of struggle, but even in the leadership, that's not an excuse for you not to be successful. And so there's the community. Also, there's pricing. That's probably, it could be a bit more affordable for young people to look into, and seeing it as an alternative to PWIs for our kids in our community.
It's important. It's really important for young people to see what other schools are out there.
Right.
And to mingle with people like you who have the same struggles like you.
Yes.
I'm not knocking any other schools, however, but it is important for us to get out there and
That's
know
right.
what else is out there
That is so
for,
true.
for you to learn from.
Because you have doctors that come from HBCUs, like, you know, coming from Howard University, Hampton University. You have psychologists. You know, you have, I mean, let's look at Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King came out of Morehouse
Yeah.
in Atlanta, right? What is our young woman who used to be the president of Spelman? Janetta Cole. Janetta Cole, you know, background. So, I mean, very, very important and significant people have had their roots at historically black colleges and universities.
Also, it's important to share that awareness, too, about HBCU school. Because when I was getting ready for college, I didn't even hear about HBCU.
Same.
I didn't know anything about HBCU. It's now that I'm in my adult life, I'll just sit back and watch and be like, I wish I went to an HBCU. It's too late for that, but I think it's important for us to continue to share and continue to let young African American, even other races, that there is good schools in HBCU to attend.
That's right.
Can I
And
just make a comment
sure,
about
sure.
that? I think one of the things that you just said that's really significant is that coming from a cultural standpoint,
Exactly.
there are many Caribbean countries and Caribbean, and maybe even Latin people that don't know about the HBCUs because that's just not part of the history.
Right.
That's just not part of the everyday conversation in the household. So an event like this today, where students typically are coming from Boston Public Schools are driving up, and area schools are sending students to the HBCU fair. We have a lot of families, a lot of young people from families that may not be aware at all of the options that exist in
I
HBCUs
believe
versus
it,
some of
yeah.
the PWI institutions.
I believe it.
So if there are folk out there that have never heard of, I think maybe, you know, try to Google A Different World and see if you can watch some of those television shows from A Different World. And it really gives you a true, I would say a very close perspective of historically black colleges and universities.
And Kimberly, can you tell us what your role is in the organization of
Oh,
Psi
sure.
Iota?
Sure. I am presently the president of the organization, and I just came into office in January. Prior to being president, I was the vice president, where I was in charge of all of the programming efforts for the organization, for the chapter.
That's wonderful. And can you also tell us your personal background as far as what you do? I know you're the president of the chapter, But so people can know you on a personal level, what have you done in the communities personally? Where have you worked?
Wow. Okay. I am presently.
Renaissance woman.
I know, not really, right?
We want to know
I always
all.
keep it a low key.
So
but
people can understand from our perspective what we mean when we say community service, service to all mankind, because that is our life. So people need to know that.
Sure. Okay, so presently I am the chair of the City of Brockton's Commission on Women's Issues, where we have unified to really identify what are the concerns for the women in the city, being that the city is very diverse ethnically. We have a large Haitian population, that's right, Portuguese population, African American populations, and Cape Verdean populations. And so really trying to see what we need to do to encourage those women to get up and to speak about issues and concerns. I've recently started my own nonprofit, which is called Urbanly International, and that organization is focused on giving our kids in our community a global and cultural experience, partnered with mentorship in addition to academic success. So it's my hope with that organization to give our kids in our community a global experience by putting them on a plane and visiting another country, because we are in a society where we're a global society. And so children of means by the age of 6, 7, they've already visited 3 or 4 countries, whereas to our kids sometimes haven't even left the block. And so if we're wanting to help them to become competitive, it's time to do that. And it's my hope to really work with the middle schoolers, because it's really important to get the 7th, 8th, and 9th graders. I know 9th grade isn't considered middle schoolers, but I think they're a little bit older to be able to take advantage, because once we can work with them and letting them see what the opportunities are outside of the walls where they are, it puts them on a positive trajectory in high school to stay focused, be able to get into the schools that they're wanting to get into to move forward within their professional careers. I have a long history in executive management, working with nonprofit organizations. I've been an executive director, I've been a vice president, all in those high-level places. Oftentimes, I've been the only person of color sitting in leadership at an organization, working hand in hand. And
I can say that it's because of you that I started. One of my first volunteering was at the Girl Scouts.
Yes.
Girl Scouts.
Woo! Girl Scouts of Eastern Massachusetts. All right. Yes. All right. So, yeah. So, it's for me, it's always been about service. I actually worked in for-profit up until 2003. And again, to whom much is given, much is required, and I always loved working with young people. I made a decision that I wanted to do that on a day-to-day basis. And I will give shout out to Gerald Chertavian at Year Up, woohoo, who gave me the opportunity on the beginning and foundation edges of the organization to come in. He hired me, and I learned so much, and it was just so fulfilling. And so that really just encouraged me to really and just heighten my passion more for serving youth, young people, and the underserved within our communities.
That's wonderful.
And that's what I do, and I love it.
And Sora Nancy, as a Haitian woman,
as a proud Haitian woman, first generation college. I too have a heart of service, as you both know.
Yes.
I have grown up seeing my mom take in foster care children, take in people from, immigrants from Haiti needing to get established in the United States. And so it's just ingrained in me to be out there and helping people whenever I can, in any way that I can. It is definitely my mission, if you will, to always be out there trying to help people. Presently, I work for a nonprofit organization, which is very relevant to some of the things that we were talking about and what Alpha Kappa Alpha focuses on. The organization that I work for is My Life, My Choice, and it is a nonprofit organization, and we specifically focus on fighting exploitation and child sex trafficking, particularly in the United States. And we do that by way of direct services, so working with victims on a day-to-day basis, as well as through through prevention and intervention training nationally. So what's exciting about that is even though I am working as the director of development, bringing resources to the organization, I also get to use my passion for helping young people, and I get to participate in some of the direct service work, be it some of the programming piece, like the leadership part of it, not the heavy stuff, but it's a great opportunity for me to utilize all of my skills and everything that I have to offer the organization. And in addition to that, I am very active in community overall. I'm getting used to getting even more active on the South Shore. So I went to my first Lions Club meeting.
Wow.
This week, and the reference is because the new international president for Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated recently determined that we will be working with the Lions Club International on the eyeglass initiative, and that will engage us in collecting eyeglasses to donate to the Lions Club so that they in turn can distribute them to children of various countries who may not have the means to get eyeglasses. So I went to my first Lions Club meeting this past week, which I think was my official first sort of engagement in Stoughton, because I've recently moved to the South Shore in Stoughton. But I also maintain a very active community life in Boston, and I sit on an advisory committee for ABCD. I sit on the executive committee for NACP Boston, and for me, it's just a wonderful way to sort of bridge the organizations, bridge the activities that are taking place, and just really maintain as much of as a liaison as much as possible between the two areas, so that I'm able to just share ideas, share resources, and share activities.
That's wonderful. And we need women like you to continue to do the work and to continue to promote awareness in our communities. And you ladies are doing a wonderful job. I am so proud to be a member of Psi Iota Omega chapter, because I've learned so much. I grew so much learning the person that I am, learning the capacity that I can do anything that I set my mind to, and just the empowerment. Just the love, support, empowerment, even though we may not talk every day, but just knowing that the work that we do, we reconnect.
Yes,
we reconnect. We reconnect so quickly, it's not even funny.
Oh, it's like we just saw each other, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So there's no I'm not gonna say isms, but there's no like, okay, got to get to know her again. But like no, it's like, hey Tamisha, what's up? Right.
Right. So can you please tell the public and people who are watching us on Facebook what are the upcoming events that you're having, the website, where they can get more information about Psi Iota Omega chapter, and how they can donate if they want to, just any information to help them learn more about you ladies.
Sure. So I want to put out there to the Southeastern community that usually the last Saturday of February, we have what we call the Heart is a Serious Matter health event, in partnership with Westgate Mall and Good Samaritan Hospital, where you're able to come out. What we have is called Walk with a Doc. So if you have had any type of anxiety about going to a doctor or going into a doctor's office, this is a great time to just take a doctor and walk around the mall and be able to feel comfortable in talking to him or her about any of your medical issues. It's actually a huge health fair where you're able to come down and get your cholesterol screened, blood taken to find out if diabetes. Learn how to do CPR. We've had people come and talk about stress and how to manage stress, because Americans, we're working hard out there.
We are.
In addition to, we've had folk come in and do Zumba dancing and all of that. And we have this gentleman that comes out every year. He's 85 years of age.
Wow.
And he's out there doing the Zumba. It's a time to be around the community. The mayor has come out to support us. And again, I have to thank Mayor Carpenter, Bill Carpenter of Brockton, Massachusetts, who allows us really to do what we do and has opened doors for us. So, it's great to have basically when you are seen by the mayor and they see the work that you do,
yes.
you know you're somewhat in a good place.
Yeah.
Just last weekend, we distributed over 75 bikes to kids in the community whose parents could not afford bikes for them. We have a movie night at Mulberry Park, which is a park that we've adopted. And what was it? That was like a month ago almost.
A few weeks ago.
Yeah, we had, 75 to 80 kids out there watching a movie out in the park.
Coco.
Yeah, Coco. So we try to bring a lot of resources again to the kids whose parents may not have those economic resources. And I think that's pretty much it that we have coming up, like really, really soon, because again, I'm taking the feedback and I'm hearing what members are saying from the chapter.
Okay.
We worked hard this summer.
Yes, you guys
And things
did.
are still going on, so they kind of want to take it easy a little bit. So I don't think we will be having any additional like public events to the end of the year, not until February.
Can
Go
I
ahead.
speak to
Yeah,
that?
go ahead.
To support some of these activities that we host, recently our chapter established a foundation, which is a little bit over a year old, or maybe 2 years at this point. I might have the time off. The Pearls of Distinction Foundation takes a lot of donations for supporting all of the program activities that we put on. Upcoming on October 15th is our golf tournament. Our golf event, the Ivy Golf Classic. This is our second one. It will take place at Thorny Lee. There is a lot of information in terms of participating as a golfer, as well as being able to participate as either an exhibitor or contribute to our silent auction and so forth. And are you going to give the website?
You can.
I can give the website.
Okay, so you'll get the website and
I'll also share it on my page. for you.
contact information, and that's one way to not only participate because the golfing is fun, but also to contribute to the work that we're doing by way of a donation.
That's excellent.
Do you want to talk about the scholarships that we also offer through Pearls of Distinction?
Sure, we also offer scholarships. You know, when you set me up for a fun time.
Right.
But in brief, we do offer scholarships as well to some of the youth that participate in our youth-centered programming. In the past, it's been through our SEND program. And moving forward now, we will be focused through the college application process program, #CAP. But yeah, we offer scholarships as well.
And please share the website with us.
Sure. The website is www.pio1908aka.org. And if you would like to send us any questions, I think the easiest is possibly going to our Facebook, because we do have a very long email address. But I'll just send you to Facebook, and you want to go to our page, which is Psi Iota Omega. And Psi is spelled P as in Paul, S-I, I-O-T-A, O-M-E-G-A, Psi Iota Omega, 3 separate words. And if you want to leave us a comment, really find out a lot more about what we're doing, or ask us any questions, that's probably the best way to do it because of our long email address.
And again, I would like to thank you ladies for coming in today and sharing everything that you do in Southeastern Mass and serving all kinds of people in the community and your service to all mankind. It is a privilege to have you here. We will continue to invite you to share the wonderful things that you are doing.
Thank you.
And also, I would like to thank my viewers and my listeners who are tuning in. Thank you for your support just by listening in. And if you have any questions or comments, please email me at voiceofreasonboston@gmail.com. And also, I do need to thank my executive producer, Junior Lamar. He's been with me here every Saturday. He supports me. His grandmother just passed, and he's still here supporting me. And my condolence goes out to you and your family, the Lamar family. I just wanted to let people know that, because you don't have these people out there just giving them their time and supporting you to continue this broadcast to moving forward. Lastly, I want to thank Mass Bar Association for granting Phoenix House Domestic Violence Shelter the opportunity to support me and to partner with me to continue this broadcast to serve underserved people, to serve communities that people may not have information or access to or resources to. So we thank them very much. We thank you, Phoenix House, for partnering with Voice of Reason Boston, and we will continue to serve our community the best way we can. And thank you for listening in to Voice of Reason Boston.